until a couple months ago we'd never heard of him. And then the other day, virtually every tech company on the planet banned him. Not just his presence, but also his ability to conduct business on the internet. He was taken off Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, all of it. Then they started telling you that not only was he not allowed to talk, but that you weren't allowed to like him because he was an incredibly bad person. And our view on that always is we'll decide for ourselves, since we're adults and Americans, and we'll listen to anyone we want, and we'll come to any conclusion we care to come to about what that person is about.
I don't really feel like I've exposed anything. Like, I'm truly not a very political person. This is the first time someone's experienced this level of ban. I'm not particularly right-wing. I don't vote. I mean, I obviously have my own personal views, but they didn't ban me for that. They banned me simply because I had large swaths of the population.
I would agree that most of the things that he says about, like, what I've seen, again, I've seen probably 10% of things that he's done. It seems like there's not really a exclusive political slant. He just dislikes the leadership, which is like everybody fucking thinks that. That's not very brave either, but yeah.
Agreeing to very traditional masculine values, teenage men and young men, 22, 23, 24, were looking up to me and aspiring to be like me. I have a very traditionally masculine life. I have fast cars and a big house and a lot of money and a beautiful girlfriend. And they thought this was very, very threatening. And for some reason, they decided that it's better if they annihilate me from the internet and replace me with somebody who's more aligned with whatever they're trying to purport.
Tell us what your message is to young men.
Yeah, so I think that being a man is very, very difficult. I think that men's issues are largely overlooked. The people in charge of the world pretend to care.
I would agree that a lot of men's issues are not taken as seriously. I think that recently that's changed a lot, and it's a good thing, but it's changed as a result of people complaining about it. I think that a lot of guys, it's like, be a man. Like, I saw one thing, it was like 2 weeks ago, some girl, some teacher, female teacher, had, and it even had in the news thing, it's like she had underage sex with like her 12-year-old student. Bitch, that's rape. What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? And then it makes me so fucking mad. And like, I can understand that, like, there's gonna be the fucking 55-year-old boomers. Where was she whenever I was in school? They didn't look like that then, I'll tell you something. You're gonna get that. I'm not mad at them. They're just boomers. Who gives a fuck? But the fucking news publication, the title of the fucking article. Oh, and the person only got 3 months in jail. Ha 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 ha! Yeah, I can see where guys would be pissed off. I think that's a huge fucking problem. The 3 months, it's disgusting. To be fair, I think that it was a sexual relationship, and it might not have necessarily been explicitly sex. Maybe they were just sending pictures to each other. Well, I wonder what that's called.
But when somebody who's championing men's issues like myself comes forward and finally manages to garner huge percentiles of the public support, I'm silenced. So they're not really interested in men's issues. And there's a lot of young men growing up today that feel very disaffected.
They do.
They feel invisible.
That's true.
The agendas that are being forced down their throats are not agendas they align with or they feel affinity to or agendas they want. And I basically just say to men, look, it's a very hard life. You're going to need...
I agree with the problem. I just don't agree with his solution. Like, I do agree it's a problem, absolutely.
To get up, work hard, go to the gym. Strong body is a strong mind. You're going to have to reject listening blindly to everything you're told. Reject the slave mind. Think for yourself. Get a strong network of brothers. Work aside them. Don't tolerate low-quality people in your life, which means don't tolerate men who just smoke drugs and play video games, or men who are disloyal or dishonest. By extension, don't tolerate women or girlfriends who are disloyal or dishonest. And
I really hope that, like, the thing is, with like with Tucker Carlson, I really hope he asks him about the comments on women. Because, like, yeah, sure, you give the person their opening statement to express who they are. That's totally fine. But if Tucker Carlson doesn't even fucking touch and even press a little bit on the fucking sex trafficking thing, why he left Romania, the videos of him hitting people, and then him saying, "Oh, she's laughing. Oh, that's crazy. She's laughing so hard, there's tears coming out of her eyes. Wow, that's." Isn't that something special? And it must have been a really good joke. And the another thing is there's the thoughts on the views on women in general, right? Things that he had said. Because I feel like if he doesn't even touch on that, Tucker Carlson doesn't even touch on that, I think it's going to be very disingenuous. We're going to have to see. Tucker's a clown. I'm not interested on if Tucker is a good or a bad guy. I don't give a fuck about that. I just want him to give it a fair shake.
Try and build and create a reality full of high quality people in which you can resist the programming that the Matrix tries to influence you with, and grow up truly happy. And what happens is when I say these things,
I don't understand why somebody like Tucker Carlson doesn't just go up and do the thing that he, like, say what's real. Like, what's your life about? What has it all been for if you can't go up in front of the whole fucking world and say what it really is? Why? Money? What are you talking about? Fucking money. The guy's he's the heir to Swanson. The amount of money he's getting paid from Fox is nothing. He's doing this for fun. I don't understand.
Ignore 95% of what I say. They ignore me saying that you need to avoid low quality men, and they take the bit where I say avoid women who are dishonest. And then they put it on a reel, a very short 3 or 4 second clip. And then they say I'm a misogynistic person and I'm dangerous to women and I need to be banned. The problem is that the majority of young men in the world today are completely invisible. And social media has made them invisible. If you go into an Instagram feed...
That's true. A lot of guys... I actually had a video that I had planned on watching with you guys. And it was... where is it? I'm trying to find it. Did I not see it here? It's one of these. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not. Maybe it got taken down or something like that. I think that's what happens. Men are. There's a lot of men that are invisible. Absolutely. The fact is, there's a lot of women who are invisible too. It's because a lot of guys don't stand out. They're boring, unsuccessful, unattractive, and uninteresting. So they don't stand out. It's like, wow. Another guy that plays League of Legends all the time and has very strong views on politics. How unique. Oh, he watches anime too. Holy shit. I can't believe it. Of course they're invisible. I think that the problem is that what I wish Andrew Tate would have said more, or would say more, is that a lot of men are invisible because they don't try to do things that make themselves visible. It's the same as if you go into a room and there's 10 girls in the room and one girl is super fucking hot because she works out every day, she's wearing makeup, she's wearing nice clothes. The other 9 are going to be invisible to you. You know what I mean? He does say that, though. Well, it's not what it's being implied. Again, I cannot state that he has or has never... Like, I've seen a lot of his stuff. I've seen some of his stuff. I don't know. It has not seemed that way to me. It has seemed to me more that the men, it is happening to them. And I wish there was more messaging about the fact that they are also doing it to themselves. That's my opinion.
You have extremely beautiful women, which is fine.
Yes.
They're beautiful. They're allowed to take pictures.
I like
But
that.
the only men who have followers are men with massive social status, right? Men with Ferraris and money, or rappers, or people who have YouTube channels, interesting people. If you're a normal man with a normal job, you don't really exist in the online world. It's very difficult to get followers. Nobody replies to your...
I don't know. I find that to be like a disingenuous comparison because there's a lot of girls that are normal and they don't look, you know, like if you're a 5 out of 10 girl, like you don't have a bunch of followers on Instagram either. I have plenty of real life friends that are girls. I know this might sound crazy, but I actually know a few girls in real life. And I've seen their Instagram. They have maybe a couple hundred followers. Like, this is very common. It's way easier for women than it is for men, is what he's saying. To do what? Like, I'm going to be honest, man. This might come off as sexist. I'm so glad I'm a guy. I am. I am so fucking glad I am a guy. I wake up and I thank God every morning I'm a guy. Absolutely. Same? Exactly. You're goddamn fucking right.
DMs, you don't really matter. You don't have access to the sexual marketplace. It's very difficult for you to even get any kind of recognition that you're even alive. Yeah. And a lot of men feel lost and lonely because of that. That's true. I was championing to a degree.
Everything that Andrew Tate is saying is true about men. I'm just saying it's not exclusive to men. However, everything that he's saying is true.
By saying to them, look, that is unfair perhaps, but that's the way the game works.
That's right.
You need to become a man of importance. You need to become a man of influence.
Agreed.
Or you're going to suffer the pain of being invisible forever. Here is how you do it.
He's right.
I wasn't trying to change the rules of the game. I was just telling the men how to win because I came from nothing and I'm completely and utterly self-made. And I think the reason a lot of men are so depressed is because they feel invisible. They feel like the life is too hard. Women expect me to be strong and smart and funny and interesting with a nice apartment and a fast car and tall and well connected and funny, and it's just too much for them to handle. And the social pressure on men is absolutely immense. And I was championing their issues. And at the same time, all these social media platforms pretend to care. As soon as somebody they resonate.
Let's be honest. The reason why he got taken off the social media platforms, I personally don't think had a lot to do with him championing men's issues. How do I know this? Because there are a lot of other people who also champion men's issues that are not removed from social media, right? So it's clearly not because of that. Because if it was, then all of them would be removed too. But they're not. And they even say a lot of this same stuff. They even say that men have it worse in the sexual marketplace. They even say the exact same stuff.
With stands up and champions their issues, they mass blanket ban me, which shows they have absolutely no care for the young men of the world today. They think that by banning me, I'm just going to vanish and the young men are just going to go and start eating the gruel that they're fed on their YouTube feed. They don't want to read. They don't want to see transgender people wear makeup. They don't want to see that. They want to see a man who has a bunch of money and a nice life and some fast cars and is strong and is confident. They want an action hero. And that's something that large portions of the world still want to be.
Oh, yeah.
And YouTube and social media platforms obviously just don't like the idea of that. They want to get rid of me and try and replace me with something they see as far more malleable, trying to create people which are more malleable and more easy to program and more easy to control.
So news accounts in the United States say that the U.S. Embassy in Bucharest, Romania, was tipped off.
Yeah, he was about to, the reason why is he was about to circle around to the fact that, you know, one of the biggest culprits of that is mainstream media. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but this is on Fox, which is mainstream media. So they're like, okay, let me just stop you right there. We know where you're going.
To your misdeeds and alerted the local authorities you might be committing human trafficking.
Yeah.
Given that this is the same charge they leveled against Julian Assange or a species of it, you know, skeptical, but I want to know the details. Were you arrested for human trafficking? What happened?
Yeah, I was not arrested.
I don't think that Julian Assange was arrested or was charged for human trafficking. I thought it was like sexual assault or something like that. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. He was? It was rape. He was? Okay, yeah, it was a very long time ago. It was rape? Yeah, something like that.
So what happened is I suffered from a case of swatting. It's very popular with people who are large on the internet. Many large YouTubers have been swatted. It's where you call the police and you say somebody has a gun or there's a hostage situation and the SWAT team arrives. Somebody made a phone call to the American Embassy saying that I was holding women at my house. The police arrived. And let me state this now. I state this openly to the world. I have absolute respect for the police. I would hate to live in a country where if you call the police saying women are being held against their will, that the police don't respond. That would be terrible. Of course they should come and look. Absolutely. They turned up. They investigated. They realized that nobody was in the house against their will. There was no crime committed. They said, okay, you're not a suspect, but you are a witness to this, along with me, my brother, the housekeeper, the gardener. Everybody who was in the premises at the time was labeled a witness. We had to go to the police station for 45 minutes for pieces of paper. We filled them in and we were let go. I was swatted. Nobody was hurt. There's no human trafficking. There's no women who were tied up. There's none of these things. It's all just complete fallacy.
You probably made some of these companies mad with your views on COVID. So
it's hard to say. Because, like, for example, like he said whenever he was talking about a girl having OnlyFans, that's his money, for example. So that implies a level of ownership. And how is that ownership exercised? You see what I'm saying? Like, just because somebody is not tied up in a basement with rope and duct tape over their face doesn't necessarily mean that they're, not still part of this. So I don't know if I'm going to say this. I don't know if these allegations are true or not. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to say that they are. I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't have what the police have. And obviously the police don't know either because they're not trying to get them. There are plenty of ways that they could extradite him. Or at least attempt to.
For us, if you would, what you think the response to COVID globally did to the populations of the West.
Yeah, so I certainly made them mad with my views on COVID. I don't want to go to conspiracy theory, and I would also never kill myself. Let me just say that here for the record.
Okay.
But at the time of COVID first being announced, my brother
and I
decided we sat and had a very logical conversation, and we sat and said, we're two young fighting age males. If COVID can kill us, then the world is over. It's zombie apocalypse time. So there's no point hiding. We may as well go out with a bang. So my brother and I flew to Stockholm, Sweden. Now, I don't know if many people know this, but Sweden never closed down.
Yeah.
Stockholm and Sweden never closed down, never made you wear masks, never mandated the vaccine. At the very beginning of COVID, when the rules were strictest, when Florida was still closed, when Miami was still closed, when the Republican states were still closed, Stockholm, Sweden was wide open with full nightclubs.
That was my understanding.
And a party scene like you've never seen. And we lived in Sweden for 3 solid months with zero restrictions, zero worry or interest in COVID. It was like the world was completely normal. And from there, when we left, obviously COVID was still going on. And in a neighboring country, you go to Germany, and they were having full panic attacks, genuine panic attacks if you didn't have a mask on. And it was just very obvious to me. I was like, I've spent the last 3 months ignoring this, and I'm fine.
I mean, one factor that's different with the U.S. and Sweden is there's a lot more fat people and unhealthy people here in the U.S. So we're going to get more people that are going to be hurt by COVID because it's like a multiplier effect. Just saying? Yeah, I'm just saying. Like, Sweden's a more healthy country. So I think that there's going to be a higher probability. It's like, and this is always what the problem with talking about COVID was, is that nobody actually wanted to have a genuine conversation. Nobody ever wanted to talk about, other variables like this. Like, oh, well, you have population density, you have, transmission, you have the, general, well-being of the population. They just don't even want to talk about this. That's why I never talked about COVID on my stream, because it was just a waste of fucking time. Really, like, I found it to be more useful for my time to talk about the BLM riots and stuff like this. I thought that was a better chance of me getting through to people what I thought my message was than COVID. Nobody wanted to talk about anything. They brush you off and you present facts. Of course they do.
And now I'm in Germany, surrounded by panic attacks,
Right,
and endless mass. This doesn't make sense. And I told the truth on social media. I said, this is obviously an overreaction. The decimation of your income, the fact you can't go get a doctor's appointment for a genuine ailment or a genuine risk of cancer, for example, the fact that you can't see your loved ones in their final days, these things are far more destructive than the common cold. I think that what they're doing is unfair. I think it's a massive overreaction. And this is based on my personal experience. And I think at the time there was a lot of pushback, but I would like to think now that 99% of the world see I was totally right.
I mean, I don't know about that. It's kind of hard to say. Like, it's like you can't say that he was totally right after the fact because a lot of people have the vaccine. And let's be honest, it seems like people that have the vaccine probably get COVID a bit less. Like, they probably get COVID a bit less and it's not as bad. On average. This is an on average thing. Never had it. Yeah, not true. No, they don't. But the symptoms are lighter. They also die from heart attacks more. I've heard about that. I'm not sure how true it is or not. But what I'm saying is, like, obviously this is not a very good assessment because most people are vaccinated now. So you can't compare the two things.
You know, it's kind of funny, Tucker. I'll tell you, when at the height of COVID, I used to say to my brother,
what's this here? I had long COVID after catching it for a year. Second dose vaccine, you lose your protection in a year. Chat scientist. Let's look it up. Let's see. How likely are you to get COVID if you have versus don't have the vaccine? Yeah, Google for COVID info. CatDany thinks Google isn't censored. What? I mean, like, so it's either true or it's not. Literally really hard to look up. Yeah, I think it's going to be hard to say. You're going to get lies and government answers? Well, how do you know what you're getting isn't a lie or a government answer? How do you know that you're not just getting a different flavor of lie? People always think that the thing that's different is the thing that's true. Sometimes it's just two different lies. God fucking how is it so hard to find information about this? This is insane. This is absolutely insane. No easy response on that with all the different variants. Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Yeah, and check back in 10 years when somebody does a documentary of this shit. Yeah, exactly. Whole point of getting vaccine is your body build immunity against virus, right? Why does COVID vax not work like the chickenpox vax? I don't know. Like, I mean, you guys know. Throughout the whole thing, I never told people, oh, you should go get the vaccine. I never said this. I never said not to do it either. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. Yeah, I've never said that. Why not? Because I don't know. The people should make their own decision. Here we go.
How will people struggle with the cognitive dissonance?
If I can't find, by the way, if I can't find a graph and I can't prove it, then as far as I know, it's not true. I think that it's true that, like, people that had the vaccine probably got it less. But if I can't find any data on that, then fuck. Like, I'm not gonna die on that hill. Sure, maybe I'm wrong on that.
Dissonance when this is all over, because COVID is still out there. Mm-hmm. Nothing's gone away. The thing that we were all hiding from is still right there, out there to get you. But now everyone walks around and they're not scared of it anymore. And I'm like, are people critical enough to analyze themselves and say, for a year...
Haven't COVID rates been going up? I've heard from somebody that COVID rates... My dad said that COVID rates were going up. Yeah, I think that, yeah, because it's over. Well, it's because people don't give a fuck anymore. People have, like, even with Donald Trump, probably by the time it was like 2018, 2019, it was like, yeah, Trump's the president. It is what it is, right? People at a certain point just get tired of being upset and worried about something. And they just want to move on with their fucking life. I think that's what happened. How do you know the media rates are going up? Because the media says it is? Yeah. I mean, yeah, everything could be a lie. I mean, for sure. Like, that's definitely a factor. Like, that absolutely could be the case.
Of my life, I was deathly afraid of something. Now
Sure.
I'm exposing myself to said thing, and I'm not afraid anymore. The media tricked me, and I was a fool. But they're not. They don't even seem to self-analyze and go, I got tricked. They're just like, oh, okay, next thing. Hey, Andrew now.
Well, it's because people, like, they think the same thing that I think. They think that because people got the vaccine, COVID is not as bad. It doesn't put as much of a strain on the hospitals because the symptoms aren't as bad. And so it's more manageable by the government and the different apparatuses that are supposed to deal with health problems. So that's why people think that it's different. That it's logical.
Like robots. It's mind-bending to me, truly.
So I saw you compare the experience of rich people under COVID, you're one of them, to everybody else. What did you notice about that? It seemed like a two-tiered response.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, so the story was very simple. I was flying inside of Europe. There's a lot of low-cost air carriers. It's only low-cost primarily. There's not much first class, business class, anything like that. And I was flying, and my experience was plagued by endless paperwork, wearing a mask, put the mask over your nose. Every time you eat, you have to put the mask on in between. I got told off for not having...
In Texas, brother, let me tell you something. That wasn't a situation. That just wasn't no motherfucking situation over here in Texas.
The mask up
Never
high enough.
was.
I got told off for drinking too long because my mask wasn't on.
What's a mask?
Pure panic and chaos. And because I'm fortunate enough to be fiscally secure, from there I decided I'll just buy private jets from now on. And when I bought a private jet, there was no masks, no paperwork, no mask at the airport when I landed. My air stewardess was not wearing a mask. My pilot was not wearing a mask. COVID didn't exist once I bought a private jet. Very interesting. Maybe if you're rich enough, COVID can't take, maybe COVID's scared of money. I'm not sure. But it seems that everyone who's flying on private jets never had to worry about COVID ever. It's just the people at the bottom who had to worry
Well,
about COVID.
of course they had to worry about COVID. That's why they were fucking singing bullshit in their bathroom and posting it on Twitter for validation. How many celebrities did that during COVID? Oh my God, that drove me crazy.
COVID. And it's kind of interesting, right? Life's always been two-tiered. There's always been this separation in regards to fiscal access. But I think a lot of people in the world today don't realize that it still very much exists. And a lot of the rules are only the rules for a certain class of people. And once you pass a certain wealth index or a certain level of money, that you can do basically whatever you want. And COVID really highlighted that to me. And it's truly sad.
I'm glad that he says that because he's totally right. Yeah, he's totally fucking right. Like, you know, the list, who's the Ghislaine Maxwell? The fucking Jeffrey Epstein lady. Where's the list of people? Who are the people that she was trafficking? Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, who has any idea? It's like, who could possibly figure out who these individuals are? Bobby Kotick was one of them. You know that? Yeah, if you make enough money, you don't have to follow the rules.
I mean, it's easy for me to make a joke of it, but when I would fly on a private jet and do whatever I wanted, or go to Sweden and party in nightclubs and do whatever I wanted, and then I'd come to, let's say, England and see my friend who couldn't go see his dying grandmother because of a COVID restriction.
That's too much.
That's truly sad.
Yeah.
That's truly criminal. It's really crazy what's happened and how the world's just moved on, and the cognitive dissonance that people don't have enough respect for themselves and for the truth to analyze how they were so easily fooled. It's really sad to even think about, but maybe that was the beginning of me being disliked by just pointing out my human experience.
This is the way I looked at it, right? Is like, as somebody who was not a scientist, okay? Not a scientist, got a C in chemistry. It's not my thing. I don't really care about that kind of stuff. I usually would wear a mask, you know, especially with my mom, right? I couldn't take a chance on if it was fake or not. I couldn't take a chance on if it was, you know, the common cold or not. Not with my mom. So I had to wear a mask. Right? I did that. And so that's obviously what I did. I even wash my hands sometimes. Now, in my mind, this was like the logic that I had with why I thought a mask would work, right? So, damn, wait, what? Wait, what did I say? Out of character? Oh, wash my hands. Oh, yeah. I thought I said something bad. Anyway, so I talk a lot. And I spend a lot of time talking in front of a glass desk. I have a glass desk, and every week or so, I look at the desk, and I see little bits of, like, spit. And by the way, I'm not special. You're the exact same as me. And so I clean my desk. And I assume that in those pieces of spit, there exists a potential that the COVID virus could be in that spit. And so to the extent that the mask blocks the spit, it will probably reduce, not remove the chance of, reduce the transmission and acquisition of COVID. That was my logic. That's what I thought. So yeah. That's literally how it works. And so that's what I thought. Well, I guess now maybe that's not true. Maybe that's not the case. But that seemed like a good idea to me. A C grade chemistry student. That's why I did it.
Experiences during the pandemic. But I want to tell you something that's actually kind of scary about this banning.
Yeah.
It all came so hard and so fast.
Same grade.
That I don't know if they all just follow each other. I don't know if they're all influenced by each other. I don't know if there's someone above them all. I don't know. But when they go to cancel you, ladies and gentlemen, it comes hard and fast.
I think the reason why it happens is that the different companies don't want to be the one stuck holding the hot potato, because that could make them less attractive to advertisers. So I'm not 100% on board with it being a cabal. I don't know that it has to be, because everybody acting in self-interest would result in the same outcome. So I can't rule one or the other out. But what I can say is that imagine if Facebook was the only group or the only website that didn't ban Andrew Tate. It's the same thing as people today went and they said, oh, Rumble platformed Andrew Tate. What do you think the odds are that people are probably going at the Rumble advertisers and saying, hey, listen, like everywhere else fucking got rid of this guy, why aren't you doing it too? I think that it's all a bunch of fucking big tech companies that have a, let's be honest, fiduciary responsibility to make as much money as possible, and they just view him as unprofitable because they could potentially lose advertising money because of him. You see what I'm saying? You see how all this, canceled by capitalism. Yes, that's correct. I've always been of the mindset that any boycott doesn't really fucking matter. Like, most people don't give a shit. And they don't last for a long time. So I don't think that a lot of these problems really manifest in anything that matters one way or another. But I think this is what they believe. It's like 3 people send an email to the PR representative. Next thing you know, there's a board meeting and $100 million decision is made. Because of 3 or a half a dozen emails about some fucking dipshit on the internet. That's what I think happens.
Facebook, then your Instagram, then your Gmail, then your Discord, then your website hosting, then your domain name, then your payment processor, then your bank. Then it's just like in real time, you're watching your phone and apps just exploding. Boom, boom, boom. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely it. I mean, this is one of the times you need to realize you're wrong. What am I wrong about, Jazz? What am I wrong about? Let me read and see what I'm wrong about here. It's a cabal. They won't realize the list because they're on the list. But it is a cabal. Oh, I need to realize that I'm wrong because it is a cabal for sure. So here's the thing. You don't know that. You think that. Don't forget it. You don't know that. Just because you think it really hard doesn't make it true.
Andrew Tate, you don't have to agree with everything a man says to believe he has a right to speak in public.
Let me finish it.
And we do believe that. No one gets to tell you who you can watch. No one gets to tell you what you have to think. No one gets to tell you who you have to hate. You're an American and an adult. You can make those decisions yourself. So why don't they want you to hear from Andrew Tate? They really
honestly, Tucker really needs to do a better job, man. Like, I've seen some of the things, like over the years, I've seen a couple of things from Tucker. It's like, thank God, he's like the only person saying fucking something that's true. What a bunch of dumb bullshit this is. You're on a network that you replaced Bill O'Reilly because they fucking got rid of him. The fact that you're sitting there is because somebody else got canceled. The fuck do you mean? And then also, like, they can't tell you who to hate. Yeah, oh, really? Go back to like, he's older than I am. He fucking knows this better than me. Remember back in 2002, 2003? Imagine, voicing any sense of solidarity with the innocent Afghanis and Iraqis that were bombing. Or Muslims that are being called responsible for 9/11. Meanwhile, their grandfather grew up in New Hampshire, and so did they. Just what a bunch of horse shit. This has happened many times. The thing is, the reason why saying stuff like that is so bad is because in everybody's mind, they immediately are going to think this. Like, I'm not the only person that thinks this. I think a lot of people would immediately think, oh, wait a minute, like, what about this? What about that? It's like it's unnecessarily disingenuous. You could have said something that's it's harder to just immediately disprove. The Japanese Americans in the 40s. Yeah, remember that? Well, we'd had the same constitution then.
He's a worse influence on the youth than, say, Cardi B. Tell us how. They're telling us he's a criminal. Okay. Has he been charged? Who are the victims? What are their names? It's going to take a lot more than that to have us believe he should be canceled. Or
I want to see Tucker live react to the video of him hitting that girl. I would want to see. Let's get a reaction video, Tucker. How about this? How about we sit you down and we can get 10 minutes of the things that people find are the most disagreeable things that Andrew Tate has said about women, about other people, things that he's done on video, and you can watch it, and at the end of the 10 minutes, we'll see what you've got to say.
anyone else, by the way. We're against censorship, period. And more than anything, we're in favor of people making up their own.
Didn't people get kicked off Fox News for not supporting the Iraq War? I was very young then. I remember this relatively clearly, but I think this has happened. Yeah, I don't agree with this. I don't think this is true. 30 years ago? Didn't we just pull our troops out like months ago? I mean, yeah, it happened a long time ago. Yeah, sure. All right, fine. Okay, it was in 2005, right? Somewhere around there, 2003, 2005. Okay, whatever. All right, yeah, copium, it's different. Sure. I'll have to think about more recent examples.
Minds based on the evidence, like adults do.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, you can watch the full unedited interview with Andrew Tate after the show on Fox Nation.
Great.
Of course, Tate's not the only person who's being censored. Virtually everyone's being censored. The Pentagon now punishing service members for liking the wrong tweets.
I'm not in the military. I don't give a fuck. That's about it. I don't care about that. Yeah, what's going on? I don't know. Censor from a private company? I bet you wouldn't be saying that if your internet company cut off your internet. I bet you wouldn't be saying that. I bet you wouldn't be saying that if your power company cut off your power. Why don't you think outside the box a little bit? Why don't you think outside the little square that they put you in, and think about the fact that a half a dozen of these massive media conglomerates have effectively a monopoly on the control of information on the entire internet. You tell me that that's a good thing with no fucking oversight. It's not the same thing. Oh, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. Oh, do you need the internet to live? Sure, I'll grant you water. Sure. You don't need the internet to live. No. Nope. I remember all these facts during decades old. I mean, because I was there. That's why. Yeah, I was fucking there. Dug themselves in so many shitholes with this extremist ideology. Yeah, I know. I think that, I think this was, I didn't watch the whole interview on the Fox website. I don't know about that. Like, I think this was like, I feel like this interview was for his base. It wasn't for journalism. It was for his base of people that want to hear about how the social media platforms censor people, and he didn't actually give, like, he didn't really ask any questions, because, like, Andrew Tate, like, I mean, nobody's gonna argue with the shit that he said in the first like 5 minutes. Like, even the COVID stuff is like, okay, whatever, right? Like, I don't really give a fuck about that anymore. But the reality is that it had nothing to do with either one of those things. Yeah, it's every interview on Fox. I find it to be so fucking disappointing. It's like, imagine you get to be literally the top of your fucking profession, and you still have to simp for a fucking. Why do you simp? Like, who are you simping for? Like, a bunch of, like, morons? Why? I don't get it, man. They all do the same shit. I'm not singling out Tucker Carlson. They do it on CNN, MSNBC. I agree with you. I don't like any mainstream media. I think that there's shades of gray, but none of them are in the clear. Yeah, I'm not about this, man. Fame-seeking, soulless people. Nobody's going to remember the person that stood up and said the same thing that everybody else did. I'll tell you that. It's very disappointing to see. Yeah, it's just very, very disappointing to see. A lot of independent media is also really bad. Yeah, I also want to say that before I fucking go on a rampage talking about how bad mainstream media is. Bro, like, you think about, like, oh, wow, like, the federal government's so corrupt. Look at the Uvalde police. Shit is corrupt at the highest and the lowest level. You want to know why? Because there's people that run it. Don't believe any news. What I do whenever I want to find out if something is true or not is I'll read a tweet and I'll look at the comments. And the first comment is like, this is actually not true, and here's all the evidence why. Every fucking time, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, how many guys you guys, like, usually whenever I will do something, I will usually look at a couple of different sources and then be like, okay, this probably happened, right? Or like, you know, like, okay, this probably happened because of this probable reason. That's about it. It's good heuristic, not 100% reliable. Nothing is. Corruption isn't a binary thing. No, you're right about that. Yeah, there's corruption like, you know, we'll make it easier for your son to get a driver's license. And there's corruption like, you know, we're just going to not release the Epstein files. I think there's a difference there. I don't know. But again, I don't know why he, like, just stop playing to your base, man. Like, holy fuck. Like, you know, Tucker Carlson's like the most popular guy in news. Did you guys know that? He's Mr. Number One, and he's gotta pull this simp shit. Can you believe this? Get over it. He's just selling it. Get over it. I know. It makes me mad. It makes me mad, man. Like, why you do that? Like, the thing is, like now that people watch the videos and like watch the show a lot, like I feel like, bro, like I'll talk about whatever the fuck I want, and like I'll say the shit nobody else will say because it's like, man, who gonna stop me? You know what I mean? Like now I can do what I want, and I've gone against the audience a lot. Like, there's been a lot of times y'all have disagreed with me. Now, I've obviously been right in every circumstance, and the audience has been wrong in every circumstance. But, you know, it doesn't matter. Like, I'll still say what I think, even if everybody disagrees. I don't know. I wish more people were able to do that.